Okay, give me 1 second. Are muted. Mics were muted. I'm a dum-dum. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Comics a la Mode, the podcast where we talk gaming, TV, movies, and all sorts of fun stuff. We have a fun, jam-packed episode for today. We're going to go over, Landon's going to react to my tier list last week, and then we're going to talk Loki, season 2, episode 1. We're going to talk
very excited
Ahsoka.
about Loki.
We're going to talk some Ahsoka because that finally wrapped up. We're going to talk some Gen V, the boys.
Boys spinoff.
I have a little bit of a gaming rant to talk about too.
Very excited to hear that.
Let's get started. Let's get started with the tier list. Landon, last week, because you were gone, I needed something to talk about, and it was like an hour and 30 minutes.
I love tier list.
It was a long episode because I needed to get through all of the Marvel movies.
This is all of them.
Yeah, that's everything.
This is every single MCU project.
Actually, Guardians of the Galaxy is not on that list.
Oh, interesting.
For some reason, it's not. It is an S, just so you know. I put it in S.
All 3 of them?
No, season 3 or number 3.
Okay, no, totally agree with that. Definitely.
Yeah, why don't you talk to the people and give your take?
For the most part, I mean, I texted.
Is there anything you disagree with?
Well, I texted Russ before we started the pod tonight. I was like, dude, I saw your tier list, and where I kind of sit with the MCU right now, it all just kind of feels the same. So I did see She-Hulk in F tier, which I like. And then everything else is fine. So that's the only thing that really matters is that She-Hulk is an F tier. Not even Daredevil can bump that up one letter grade, unfortunately. Terrible series. I didn't like it at all. I love Iron Man 2, so seeing that in D tier kind of hurts. I don't think it's as bad as those other ones.
I couldn't put it in F because it is a guilty pleasure.
It's not F.
It's a guilty pleasure.
Thank you for not putting it F.
It's not good, but
Justin,
it's not great either.
Actually, I think Justin Hammer alone at least puts that in C tier. I understand it's not very good, but I have a soft spot for that one. I'm taking a look at C tier. I feel a little bit conflicted about Loki being there, but the other ones are kind of like, I see a couple of Phase 1 MCU pictures in C tier, which is interesting.
Which one?
We got the Incredible Hulk in the first Thor movie, the Kenneth Branagh Thor in C tier.
Yes,
I think I'd bump those up maybe a little bit, but it's true. Like early MCU is kind of like hit or miss with some people. They didn't quite find their footing yet. You have the Guardians holiday special on here. That made it. What I'd be curious to see. You got to send me like what the tier list is, and maybe I can make my own.
Oh yeah, I can do that. I can do that for sure.
That'd be dope. I feel like this isn't all the MCU projects. It kind of feels
Yeah,
a little bit light.
It's
Is it all of them?
it's just minus the Netflix stuff.
Oh, minus the Netflix stuff. Okay. I mean, I don't really consider that super MCU. It's kind of adjacent.
Also, hello to the 2 viewers we have. I think one of them is probably
what's
just
up, viewers?
Landon.
I think I'm one of the viewers, but hey, one of the viewers. What's up out there? Hopefully you caught last episode where we talked about this tier list. Arrested.
Yeah,
I mean,
Tristan was in. My brother was in the
tier.
chat, which was really funny too.
Sweet.
The only one that having slept on, I would probably move is Black Panther. I really would move it back down to C where I wanted to originally put it.
Okay. The OG Black Panther or the Wakanda Forever one?
The OG. Wakanda Forever is like F. I think I put it in D or F.
It's an F. I'd put it a little bit higher. I thought it was not as bad. I thought they did a decent job with like what they had, but I'd agree. Maybe move Black Panther down one, but the S tier and A tiers, man, solid choices there. I thought you didn't like Hawkeye that much. Did you like Hawkeye?
I loved Hawkeye.
Oh, dude, I'm glad to see that.
Hawkeye's gonna be my Christmas special that I have to watch every year.
Oh yeah. I really agree with that one. And Werewolf by Night S tier, huge W there. That's a big one. I love
talking about Werewolf by Night. This I said on the last episode, but this year they're putting out the fully colorized version.
Yeah, dude, that's gonna be sick.
That's gonna be violent, is what that's gonna be.
I'm very excited for that. Yeah.
And yes, folks, I am so tired that I am drinking a cup of coffee. A cup. Oh my gosh, I've just had a stroke
at almost 7:30.
I am drinking a cup of coffee. Also, just hilarious note is that when Landon got into this call, he didn't put his full name. He just put Lando, which I think is hilarious because he is our Star Wars. He is the Star Wars guy.
I'm the Star Wars guy. Some people actually legitimately have started to call me Lando, but I had mic issues.
Well, then there we go. No, hilariously enough, it was not mic issues on his end. It was mic issues on my end because I hadn't changed I had the wrong input selected.
You know, I could let you just take the heat for all of the mic problems today, but I did accidentally press mute on my microphone. So the part of that was me, but I did turn it back on, and then I left, and then I was like hurriedly trying to get back in to the live stream. I forgot to put the N on my name, I guess.
Oh, that's funny.
But I have a built-in safety net for my name that if I forget that last character in my name, I'm still good because that people still sort of call me that. So
it's true. So we're gonna try to do more tier lists moving forward.
I love tier lists.
Again,
so fun.
What we'll have to do is we need to plan it ahead because we got to figure out when we don't have so much news or we don't have a ton going on. Some things are wrapping up. There might be a week that we decide, you know what, we're going to talk about 2 episodes of a show when it comes out instead of one, so we can do a tier list. That kind of fun stuff. Did
you know, I see you used Tier Maker, right? Is this a Tier Maker?
Yes.
Great site. I love the tiers on there. I actually made a tier list. This was back during the pandemic when there was nothing going on, and I was like, you know what? Let me try making like my own lists for people to go out and use. It's still there. I actually saw it a couple months ago.
What is it? What's the tier list?
Well, it's Star Wars, of course. And I was like, what's something that could have like a lot of options and people could rank based on any, popularity or skill or what. And I listed like all of the named clone troopers in Star Wars, both canon and legends. So you have like Alpha 17 and like the Revenge of the Sith commanders that don't get talked about a lot. But then you have like namestays like Cody and Rex and some of the ARC troopers from Dave Filoni's Clone Wars era. I put all of the named clone troopers, none of this like CT-109. No, it's like Jesse, it's Fives, it's Rex, it's Cody, like all of them. And I found really high quality images of them. And I went so far as to like Photoshop all of the images to look uniformed. And I put them in circles and like it really looks quite good, I must say. I did a very good job. But I wasted like 24 hours of my life doing that. And it was so much work, but Probably shouldn't have done it, but
you know what?
I have a tier list out there. Maybe we'll
Sometimes
post it,
that's what needs to be done. You know, sometimes you got to do it.
you gotta back
You gotta
during the
do it.
pandemic. We had nothing to work with. It was very, very slow days.
True.
No job.
True.
Everybody's sick. You know. Tier
All
list.
right. So you watched a movie this last weekend.
I did. I went to the theater
film
for
called The Creator.
yeah.
Interestingly enough, I don't know if anybody knows this about The Creator, which I think is really interesting. The entire movie was shot on the Sony I think it's the FX3, which is a very compact cinema camera, and it's one of those cameras that if you are in the videography space and you're like solo by yourself, like a lot of the content creators on Instagram and people I follow, they have an FX3.
Interesting. I wonder why
the entire film was shot on that. He in an interview he said that he likes the reason he did that was because he loves the Sony color space, which, hey, you know what? The more people who will get into the right camp when it comes to cameras and join the Sony alpha race. I was going to say master race, but technically it's a Sony. Their cameras are called Sony Alpha, so I might as well call us
the Alpha race.
The Sony Alpha race. That's
Sony's
exactly
are
what
pretty
it is.
Good.
So that was really cool. I've been wanting to see this. Budget wise, just has not been in the cards recently.
It's The Creator.
How was it?
Yeah, The Creator. I didn't know that about Gareth Edwards, and I didn't know that he and his cinematographer chose to use like the Sonys like that. That's cool to see. I mean, they achieved a brilliant look with this film. I'll say that right off the bat. I think my favorite thing about it is probably just the visual style and how gorgeous it is. Not surprising. I mean, Gareth Edwards, his probably most popular films are like that Godzilla movie that came out, I think in 2015. And then he directed part of Star Wars Rogue One, which let that man cook with Star Wars, dude, because The Creator is full of like very cool starship ideas and very industrial looking sci-fi tech-based combat and warfare, and you got the robots. It's about AI, right? I didn't really know anything going into this movie. I thought that they were on like a totally different planet. This isn't really spoilers because you find out in the opening minutes of the movie. Like, this takes place on Earth. It's just very futuristic. It's I mean, bullets are a thing of the past. We're shooting lasers now. We got AI. Literally, there's like 3 types of beings on the planet now. You got the AI, which are fully robots. You still have humans, and then you have, I think they call them not replicants, because that's Blade Runner. Although there was a lot of Blade Runner vibes.
There's a lot of Blade Runner vibes.
Like supplicants, syndicants, or something. It basically cyborgs, right? So you have humans who have mapped their face and lended their features to AI in order for them to pass as more human. But that's where you get people like Ken Watanabe's character who have like, you can still clearly tell they're not human, right? They still have bits exposed and everything. They have these circular portions in their heads. Just very interesting world building and visual style, and the designs for the characters and the weapons and the engines, and you know, there's stuff in space, there's stuff on the ground. Just very, very cool and interesting world building. It really sucks you in, and that's what I like the most about it. I think the story, biggest criticism I could give to it is like the pacing is all over the place, especially in the third act, man. If you have a rushed third act, it kind of takes you out of it, because I was like, man, we are booking it. Like, we are really trying to wrap this thing up quick, which is a shame, because like there was a lot of emotional stakes and story threads that were being wrapped up that I was very interested in, but I just couldn't help but be like, man, we are just at a breakneck pace, which is strange because the rest of the movie was pretty like tight leading up to that. But performances were good. I thought the story was interesting. I liked kind of the spin they did with the AI stuff. And the child actor, child actor was phenomenal. That little girl who played the AI girl, like incredible. She did a fantastic job. Her first role ever. I'm very happy that she did a fantastic job. She was great, honestly.
Nice. Yeah, I need to go see it. I definitely need to go see it. And I just realized that
I don't think there were any spoilers in there, but if there was, I'm sorry. I definitely recommend go see it, man.
No, I don't think you spoiled that at all. Nice.
I didn't know anything about it going into it, which was fun.
Yeah, the trailers really piqued my interest, and so I'm excited to kind of check it out.
I saw one trailer back when it aired, but other than that, I went into this totally clean. Didn't really know even who was in it. I knew John David Washington was the lead, but like Ken Watanabe appearing and maybe one or two others. But I had a great time. It was good to be back in the theater too. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So Ahsoka's done. It's all done, ready. We're done. You know,
we're in the post Ahsoka era.
We're post Ahsoka. I'd love to hear your final reactions of the finale, but then also as in the of the show in general. Okay, I know you kind of told me a little bit about the finale. I know you weren't too hot on it, so kind of explain that maybe.
Oh man, I'm going back and forth on it. I think I'll say a little something real quick. I think the series kind of dipped as it went on. I think it peaked with the Anakin episode and the Clone Wars stuff, because that's what I think a lot of people were really looking forward towards, especially since we knew Hayden Christensen was in the series. And I think once that hit, it was just kind of, for me personally, I think it kind of dipped a little bit. But I'm actually more interested in hearing your thoughts, because I feel like I'm in a downer place with Star Wars, which I don't like, because I still love the franchise. It's just I'm frustrated with it. And I don't know if that's because I'm not seeing what I want to see, or if I'm just lukewarm on like the ideas that they're bringing forth. But I don't quite know what it is. I still haven't even considered what is really bothering me about the finale, because I like the series on the whole. It's just I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I think the biggest issue is that we are in this woke Disney era, and so they're pulling this agenda with everything in that they do, and you're seeing it pop up in everything.
That's fair.
And perfect example is Obi-Wan. The biggest criticism with the Obi-Wan show was the fact that they tried to turn this random Inquisitor that they created for the show into like a main character, and really pulled the focus. It pulled the focus away from Obi-Wan. It pulled the focus away from Darth Vader. It pulled away focus from those two, that bond and that connection, which is the whole point of that show, which is why. And also on top of that, they shoehorned in this side plot with Leia, and it just felt weird having baby Leia, and it was just a whole thing. So
that's what I'm saying. Like they make weird choices like that. It's just
strange. So then, to your point, Ahsoka comes out, and it's like, okay, well, this is a little different because it's already supposed to be like a female lead, so maybe they won't like screw this one up.
And these are a lot of already established characters.
Exactly.
Like, there's not really any room for anything. I mean, there's always room for new stuff, but
I heard a criticism that like a couple people that I've talked to about the show don't like Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka. I do. After seeing the full show, I do understand where they're coming from. She is a little stiff in the role of Ahsoka. I think
so too.
I just kind of pitched it as, okay, she's been through a lot. Maybe she's a little bit more, mellowed out. But
jaded a little bit.
As the show went on, it became a little bit more obvious. They have to make budget cuts with these shows. So the lightsaber duels, as cool as some of them are, a lot of them feel really just stilted, just really boring. The perfect example, the finale, when Ahsoka's fighting the Night Sister lady, boring. No, good.
Oh, interesting.
I'm good. I didn't
I
like it.
actually quite like
And
that duel.
I've been seeing on Twitter like, oh my gosh, best Star Wars duel ever. It's like, nope,
I don't agree with that,
nope,
but I
so
quite liked
wrong,
it.
so wrong.
What did you feel about the zombies? Oh, by the way, huge
Oh,
spoilers for
so
Ahsoka.
dumb,
If you haven't
so
seen it,
dumb,
get with the times.
so dumb. Here's the thing. Watching it, I understood why they were there. Like
Mhm.
because we're dealing with the Night Sisters. I'm like, okay, makes
Right.
sense.
It's
So
happened
dumb.
before.
Still so dumb. It just does
I
not.
think
It didn't make sense. It's also like it's 3 people with lightsabers for crying out loud. Like,
No,
what
they
are
should
zombies gonna
absolutely
do?
be able to wreck every single one.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
what are slow moving zombies gonna do? If they were like zombies from World War Z, maybe like then
Oh
okay,
yeah,
cool.
fast
Like
zombies,
fast zombies,
forget it.
totally understand it. But
But then
slow
again,
moving
Jedi,
zombies, it's like,
very
wow,
fast.
you're a Jedi.
Yeah, it's
Hello?
like, did you guys forget like you have the most powerful weapon and also these incredible force powers and also, like you said, budget cuts. I mean, we
Here's
can't show everything,
at
but
the end of the day, the problem, I think, because like I came away from the finale pretty okay. Like I actually was like, all right, cool. It sucks,
yeah,
rest in peace, Ray Stevenson. It sucks
that
that
that,
like
that one's
we're
tough.
not going to be able to see where he moves, like what that looks like moving forward, unless they
Mhm.
recast him. Which, I mean, sure, like fine,
There's a couple ways they could do it, I think.
but one thing I
Definitely
will
don't
say,
want deep fakes. I don't want deep
one,
fake
yeah,
Luke to be deep fake Ray Stevenson. Please, for the love
no.
of God, do not do that.
One thing I will say is I like the Thrawn character. I like what this show did.
Thrawn's cool.
The problem with Star Wars and current and modern day Star Wars is that none of these stories leave you feeling fed. It
Mm,
feels like you get appetizers galore because chips and salsa. Like all of modern day Star Wars right now is just chips and salsa. And there's a couple really good bites that you are like, oh man, that is the best salsa or that's the best chip I have ever tasted.
yeah.
And then you keep eating it and you're only eating chips and salsa. So like it doesn't get any better than that. And
If I
that's the
could
problem that I have.
expand,
Well,
yeah,
so that's the problem I have, especially with Ahsoka. It happened in Obi-Wan, and it happened
right.
in what was the other show that
Andor,
we had? Oh,
Andor,
I
or The
haven't watched Andor.
Mandalorian, or Book of Boba
Oh
Fett.
well,
There's
I
actually
mean,
5 Star Wars
yeah.
Disney Plus shows. Isn't that
So
wild?
like Mandalorian started to get this way towards the end, like maybe the last season. There's a
Yeah.
lot of really cool and amazing moments in these shows. A lot of really cool, amazing moments. And they make for great TikTok, YouTube, Instagram
They're
highlight
trendy.
reel.
People talk about them for a little
But
bit, but then they just get tossed to the wayside because there's not
but the
really any
whole show is not
meaning.
it's like all of it comes out to a solid 5. Like I don't think these are all relatively bad shows. I just don't think they're good. Like they're not great. They're not like standouts. They're just 5 out of 10. They're
Let me
about
expand
they're
on your
lukewarm.
analogy real quick because you use the chips
Yeah.
and dip, the salsa analogy, which I agree with. I like that. A big problem I have with salsa is that it's oftentimes too watery. There's not enough on your
Yeah.
chip when you eat it. It's like you just get your chip a little soggy and then you eat it and it's like that was underwhelming. The good salsa is the rich stuff. You know, you got the green peppers or you have this and that, all the ingredients. You take a little on your chip and you eat it and it's like all that flavor is just bursting. It's incredible. And like that's how you know you got good salsa, the thick stuff, the salsa that's got a lot in it, and it's not just a little bit that sogs your chip down. It's like deep and rich. And that's what the Disney Plus shows for Star Wars especially have been lacking. It's like I can't tell you like what Ahsoka was or the greater themes or like where these character arcs went because I really wasn't that invested all the way through. It's like each episode kept me strung along because it's like, oh, Anakin, oh, Thrawn, oh, Night Sisters, oh, Death Troopers. It's like that stuff's great, but there's not anything at the core that's making me invested. And I think you're right. It's that way with a lot of the Star Wars shows, and a lot of the Disney Plus MCU shows as well. I think have the same problem. If I could backtrack onto the Rosario Dawson thing for Ahsoka real quick,
Yeah.
I think she's right for the part. I just don't think they're letting her live to her fullest potential. I think Rosario Dawson is a fantastic actress. I mean, look what she did with the Daredevil series for like 3 seasons or 2 seasons. I can't remember how long she was in that show, but she was the night nurse, right? I forget her character's name, but like she had a relationship with Daredevil, and I think her name was Claire, maybe. Excellent in that show. Fantastic. She shows a lot of depth. And Ahsoka, and it might be because of the costuming and the headdress and everything. I understand that's difficult and uncomfortable, but I feel like there should be workarounds to that, right? Let the actor breathe and let the actor move and emote. And yeah, that's a lot of people's problem, I think, is that she's just emotionless. And maybe that's the direction style, or maybe it's just the fact that like Rosario is not being allowed to, like I said, live to her fullest potential. And I think a lot of it has to do with the eyes. For whatever reason, this show decided to give like every single actor these insane contacts. I don't remember it being this bad, but like Ahsoka's eyes, Thrawn's eyes, and Ezra's eyes specifically, wild contacts. And if you block your actor's eyes, like that's the gateway, right? That's what you see. That's what you connect to. That shows a lot of that emotion. And those contacts were super distracting for me. That's just a little tangent, but like, let these actors let them improvise, let them bounce off of each other. It just feels very stilted and on rails. And like, here's my lines, here's the delivery, move on to the next. And it's like, where's the passion? Where's the, creativity in these actors? And I don't know. It's just, there's something missing that's not there. I think most people can feel it. But then you have a lot of people online who are just the Disney fanatics, and they'll just eat up whatever they give them, right? I think it's important to be critical a little bit sometimes.
The sad part right now is that we have 2 camps right now. There's no middle ground. In honestly, in any of Disney's Disney Plus shows, there's no middle ground. There is the camp that
it's like you love it or you hate it, but
full anti, and there's the camp that's like, oh yeah, I love this. This is amazing. Whatever.
Or it's peak. It's the best thing I've ever seen.
Yeah,
it's not, but it's not like trash. I mean, there's stuff there.
Yes, exactly. There's no middle. The problem is, like, as much as I will come away from these shows and be like, yeah, it's probably like at best it's a 6, maybe 7 out of 10, like a 6.5 out of 10.
I can't go higher than like 7.
Yeah, I can't go higher. I can't go higher than a 7 either. I don't even know if I can hit 7. I'm still gonna watch this stuff because I like content.
I love Star Wars. I'm a ride or die fan of the franchise, but
yeah, like,
I'm not gonna love everything you give me. Just for the sake.
Like, this is like perfect segue. Like Loki. Like,
yeah, let's talk about Loki.
We're now in season 2, and like we've talked about this. I've always said I don't care for this show. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is one of the better made shows. It is on par with, WandaVision as just a technical show. It's very well done. You can tell they put a lot of money into this. They're really focusing. You can tell, especially in this episode. Now, again, the graphics may fall short moving forward throughout the rest of this season, just because everybody wants to put their best foot forward.
Right. Insane effects in this one.
But and so that's why, like, on my tier list, it's I think I put it at a C.
Middle of the road.
I think the show is probably a 7 out of 10. I can't give it higher because I don't care about this character. Now, going into season 2, I was going to push this off. I was not going to watch this right away. I was bored. I got bored playing COD, and I was like, you know what? I need to watch something. And then I was like, oh, wait.
I like where this is going.
I was like, oh, wait.
Feels like it's going to.
So I watched it,
Yeah.
I am much more interested in this episode or this season than I was the first one.
Interesting. What grabbed
I
you? I'm curious.
so I think the stakes are much more interesting. I think the fact that Loki is like has all of this information. Oh, also, one
Yeah.
of the best lines in this episode was when
Yeah.
he's talking to Morbius or
Mobius.
Morpheus,
Yep.
Mobius,
Mobius. Yeah.
Mobius, and he goes,
Owen Wilson. Wow.
We went to the end of time
Yes, I remember that
and
line.
he made sense.
He made
Like
sense.
we met the devil at the end of time and he made sense. That is one of the dopest lines that Marvel has ever created because it gives
It's scary.
It's scary, which is also hilarious because I'm not afraid of Kang anymore after seeing Ant-Man. Like Kang is not a scary villain. Like Kang, whatever.
Dude, Quantumania spoiled the party. I'll tell you that much.
But this show does a really good job of showing the stakes. And like perfect example, like, and spoilers, folks. There's an awesome transition for Loki where he is like getting pulled through time and his whole body just like jolts, and like it's funny because they use it as a joke between him and Mobius, like talk about like, oh, don't do, like Mobius is like, hey, don't do that in front of me again, please. I can't watch that anymore. Like he's like, what does it look like? He's like, it's horrible. Like I don't like it.
The line, I love that scene in the elevator because the line that Mobius gives, I almost said Morbius. Dude, you got me messed up. Mobius. The line that Mobius gives in the elevator, because you're right, they're going back and forth about Loki's weird time shifting, right? He's being pulled in and out of time, and it's very difficult to look at and disturbing. Mobius is like, I don't know, it looks like you're being born or dying at the same time. Like, I thought that line was hilarious. Just them talking about like what's happening to Loki, and it looks painful. It like genuinely had me concerned. I'm like, this is a tough spot for our main character to be in. And then I like how the rest of the episode was them just trying to figure that out. It's like, forget Kang. We got to get Loki centered because he's just bouncing all over the place. And there's some very
body
fun
horror.
stuff.
It's the body horror that I wanted to see in Multiverse of Madness that we did not get. That we did not get.
Dude, let Sam Raimi cook.
But so I am a lot more interested in this show now. I think it sets stakes in a way that, like, even though I knew that, like, oh, they're gonna pull Loki out of this time stream, like they're not gonna fail. I was still very invested the entire time. Like I was like, oh wait, maybe they're not. Maybe this is gonna go. Maybe this is gonna go a completely different direction than I thought. Maybe he is literally gonna get lost to time, and then it's just gonna be time jumping. But they didn't. And like at the end, I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like that's makes more sense for.
Well, I'll tell you what, I felt super engaged and gripped by, like you said, the stakes of the episode. But when they are trying to tether Loki out of the time stream, and the time is ticking. You got Ki-Hu Kwan back up in the control tower, little short round up there, all grown up, and he's like, "I'm sorry, Mobius," and he hits that button. I was like, wow, this series is like really going places I did not expect. What's happening here? And then he does get pulled out at the end, but it's last second, and there's a lot on the line. Like Mobius's skin might get ripped off. Loki just disappears forever, and they keep throughout the episode talking about how this is a experience. Like it's painful. It's going to be violent. It's going to be bad. And you know, you got Loki running around trying to find a stick to prune himself to make the clock to beat out the time. And you have the phone call ringing, and then he approaches an elevator, and it's just very intense and gripping. And throughout all of this and throughout the whole episode, right, the TVA itself is just collapsing, which is another thing I liked about this episode, is that we are entirely just in the TVA. We spend time here, and we see how all these characters are impacted by the downfall of the TVA. All this stuff just swirls into a very incredible first episode. I really enjoyed it. I'm trying to think of something to be critical on. I think I'm not interested in like the side plot with the um, they go to like a judge's table at the TVA. I wasn't really invested in that. I don't really care about the politics of the TVA. I just care about my characters who are there, how that impacts them. There's like one random TVA agent who shows up. He's like a standard like white dude. Who is this guy? Is he new? Was he in last season? I don't even know what's happening.
I mean, to that point, I do agree. I just kind of took it as like,
but that's a nitpick, by the way. That's a nitpick.
Yeah, I just the way I kind of took it was like, oh, okay, well, all of these guys work together, so like this guy is just kind of he's walking in like they all know him, but like we haven't been introduced to him, which honestly I like sometimes.
So when he wasn't in last season.
I don't think he was.
I don't think he was either, but I'm like, maybe he was.
I wasn't paying enough attention. Yeah, the biggest thing is like, let's be honest, every first episode of any of these Disney Plus shows is an absolute banger right out the gate. So it's more, it's more it's going to be interesting to see if this keeps its momentum. What I will say is like even the first season of Loki, even though it wasn't my cup of tea, I still felt that momentum wise, it kept its momentum through throughout the season, which is why I understand why people are like, oh my gosh, I love this show. I love this show. I love this show. And like, I get that. Yeah. So it's
for the most part, like Ahsoka also kept its momentum quite well. I mean, like I said, there was just a point where it just started to dip. And I think that's like as Ahsoka left Hera, left like all that plot behind, and then we kind of slid into the Thrawn stuff a little bit more. And also, like, just going back to Loki or Ahsoka real quick, I hate how they just dropped Shin Hati and Baylan Skoll as characters. Like, they just were not in the finale at all. And I felt very disappointed in that because I think me and a lot of other fans were like, these new characters are fantastic. So when they just didn't touch upon them, and I understand Ray Stevenson, but like, Shin has a lot of potential to be very interesting because you have this Darksider who's now conflicted, who now has no place, has no purpose. You can mold her into something very, compelling, and just not seeing them at all was very disappointing. So that sucked. But with both these series, Loki, Ahsoka, I mean, there's stuff to love, there's stuff to be critical about. I just think it's important not to just consume. Right. And consume, move on to next product. I think that's a dangerous way of looking at these shows and movies and like art in general. It's like, be critical. It's okay to be critical and not like something. Just to don't tear others down for liking it. Right. I see a lot of that on Twitter. It's like, man, this person has something they genuinely enjoyed about this. And then you have somebody coming along and telling them that, no, this sucks. You're wrong. Just attacking. It's like that's the part of the fandom of these series and stuff that just really upsets me because, like you said earlier, there's no middle ground. I don't know, but like, I still have fun talking about it.
And I mean, let's be real here. Like that, I think we are in an era of fanhood that is just so toxic. So it's so like
true, but
that's it's not even it's like it's part of it is the fans' faults. But also part of it's the fault of these major companies just shoving their agenda down everybody's throats and making a lot of people essentially making the claim that like we're transcendent or whatever. And it's like, no. When you shove your gender BS, your political BS, all of this, it makes your products less interesting, and it immediately goes, oh, that was from 2018 to 2023, and this is why I continue to say that when we're all in our 80s, we are not going to be telling our kids about TV shows like Loki, TV shows like Ahsoka, TV shows like any of this. We are
She-Hulk.
going or movies, She-Hulk too, or movies like Thor: Love and Thunder, like honestly, Blue Beetle any of these, Wonder Woman, the second one, not the first one. The first one's actually pretty good.
Agree.
We're not going to be telling our kids about these movies. What are we going to be doing? We're going to be telling our kids about the movies that we saw when we were younger, like Lord of the Rings, came out in the 90s. Like anything 90s, like probably 1990, I would say 1998 and later, we're going to be telling our kids about. Now, that being said, you should all go watch the trailer for Silent Night with Joel Kinnaman. It is a action movie about this guy who his son is killed in a drive-by, and he like decides he's going to turn himself into the ultimate weapon. It's essentially, guys, it's essentially Punisher without the Marvel branding.
Yes, I remember seeing that one.
It looks badass.
It does, because he doesn't talk at all, and it's very violent. It's very John Wick and Bob Odenkirk's Nobody. It's like those two films, but he doesn't speak. It's crazy.
It really is. That actually gets me to the point of a little bit of a rant that I've been wanting.
Hey, real quick, I'm gonna let you get your rant. One thing I'd like to say to cap off like the Loki Ahsoka section is like, you brought up something interesting, and I just kind of had to write it out real quick, like because you were talking about the nostalgia we have with the shows and the movies that stuck with us because we saw them when we were younger. It's like I started thinking, like, why did they stick out to me so much? Though it's like you think about a project and you look back on it fondly for maybe two reasons. Maybe there's more, but this is all I came up with right now. The themes, what the characters go through, the story, what drives it, but that central idea of the project, that sticks with you, or it's just visually spectacular and it gets you interested in the technical aspects of it because it's so awesome to look at, right? And I think the thing about a lot of current day stuff is like there's not enough deep central themes going on for you to care about that and remember about that and look fondly on. And there's not enough visual spectacular things happening to remember it fondly for that either, because of various reasons. You know, you got strikes, you got VFX artists who are on incredible crunch times and everything. But if you're not focused on one or the other, like the project has got to know what it is. Is it trying to say something or is it trying to be visually spectacular? Things can be both, right? That's where the great stuff is. But the thing about Ahsoka is it's not, I think, deeply engaging enough to focus on the themes and have that be lasting. And it's not visually spectacular enough because it's on Disney Plus and just budget reasons. Right. So I think that's where like a couple of these issues lie, is like just one of two ways. It's just none of those things. It's just there. It just exists, right? To keep things going and to keep money flowing, to keep, consume on to the next. And that's a shame because there's a lot of potential with a lot of these ideas, right?
Well, it's also a shame, to your point. It's also a shame when you look at other media and other content coming out at the same time as these shows.
Oh, when there's something good,
like look at The Boys. Like perfect example. Like Amazon has been killing it mostly. Rings of Power, completely different animal. I would still put Rings of Power in the same category as these Disney shows. I will watch it. Oh my gosh, it's starting to zoom again. I will watch it always because I am a Lord of the Rings head. Like that's just what I love.
That's how I am with Star Wars. I'll watch it no matter what.
But the quality is so drastically bad, like worse than the Lord of the Rings films. Like even the Hobbit films, after the first one is a guilty pleasure film to me. I love the first one. I think it's the most true to the books. I think if the Hobbit was done correctly, it would have been that film, and it would have been one more film, and we would have been done. Because I think it was allowed. Oh wow,
not excited about it, but
the first one is amazing. The songs are great. It's fantastic. But
you made a good point about like the boys.
You look at the boys. You look at Gen V, which
Gonna say we got the boys project.
Only issue with Gen V right now is it is the boys with younger characters. Like it doesn't there right now. There's not a lot to me that differentiates it from the boys, other than this like mystery about what happened to Golden Boy that makes it different. The boys, like Gen V has added a mystery, so then now that differentiates it from the boys being kind of like an action whatever. But I think it's still looking for its footing. It may not find. I will say it may not find its. It may not find its footing this season. But right now, this show is good enough that I don't care if it never does. If it doesn't find a way to differentiate itself a lot more from the boys, because at this point, it's something in the boys universe that is equally good compared to the boys that I am all in. I'm enjoying it. I like the characters. The characters are growing on me more and more too. But you look at the boys, you look at Invincible, you look at you go look at HBO Max. HBO Max is a little bit more woke too, because like perfect example like Harley Quinn. But also putting out good content. Good content that it like feels this is putting the content before the message that you want to tell. Like I have no problem you weaving a message into content, but it's all about how you do it. Perfect example, a gaming example. You look at Last of Us Part 1. That is it.
Is this going to be a rant or no?
No. I'm not gonna
we'll get to it.
Yeah, the rant is about something different. You look at Last of Us 1, solid game. I've never played it. I've watched the full game through like 3 times.
That thing's got a legacy though.
is a great legacy of a game. Is a good game. Then you look at Last of Us Part 2, and you look at the controversy it has because of what they tried to force down your throat in the story. There is a reason that those two games that should be on par with each other, if not one complements the other, they are so drastically different, and one is going to stand the test of time, the other is not. The one that's going to stand the test of time is the first one. The second one will continue to be around because it's the sequel to the first one, and they're making a third one. And if they pull their heads out of their behinds and make a good third one, then it's
Naughty Dog, right?
It's going to be there. Yes, Naughty Dog.
Yeah.
But
that's a good analogy.
That's my rant. You go.
One of your rants. Last thing, I swear we'll get to your gaming news that you want to talk about. I think a lot of stuff that can be said about like the projects too is like, especially with I want to say Gen Z because that's the official thing, but it's Gen V. I think that spin on that is pretty fun. I think that's a great title. You're right. It's very similar to The Boys. And I think it's because it strikes the same tone. It strikes the same levels of violence and gore that you associate with projects that take place in The Boys universe. It's got the same writing. I think a lot of the characters speak the same as characters on The Boys. Just making quips and making real life references to like Johnny Depp or whatever, it takes place in the same world. So you get a lot of the marketing campaigns that are in The Boys, like they're touting around Vought merchandise. And it's, I just got done watching an episode of The Boys, and like you'll cut from the story of Butcher and his group, and then you'll go to like a commercial for the Deep talking about the Church of the Collective. Like there's that stuff too, because in the most recent episode, Tech Knight has a whole TV series and it cuts to that. So all of this just leads to a series absolutely feeling the same as The Boys, which maybe is the goal for spinoff shows. It's like people want more of this, so you give them that. But in the way that I was talking about the other shows, it's like Gen V. I'm struggling with that so much. My brain is like Generation V. Generation V. Oh my gosh, Vought for Vought. Gosh, I can't even remember what I was saying now, but like the writing, it all comes down to the writing. And like I think the characters and the direction that they're taking these characters, you know, they are presenting, the writers are presenting our characters with compelling challenges and obstacles to overcome, the relationships and how all of the characters are intertwined. That's the thing about this Gen V show and Ahsoka. You have in Gen V, all of the characters interacting with each other. They all have different opinions, and all of these characters are in conflict one way or another. Or the show is about them overcoming their conflicts and becoming, you know, friends or something like that. In Ahsoka, like you never have Ezra talk to Thrawn, or you never have Ahsoka talk to Thrawn. It's just this is happening, this is happening, this is happening, and then the finale just tries to cross them over together. And I love a show that just blends it all together and has conversations with our villains and our heroes, and like that just comes down to writing. It's like, what are we doing?
To that point, what I will say on the Ahsoka side, Ahsoka leaned far too heavily into the fact that it had Clone Wars and Rebels. And so I do agree with you on that part. Everybody was so disjointed, and like Ezra never talked to Thrawn, but you could tell because they built all of that as in like, oh, someone says Thrawn's name and you see the character like emote. Like it they far too heavily said, hey, Ahsoka is a sequel to Rebels. And the problem is they didn't do a good enough job of like prepping their audience for that. And so it felt disjointed. Because if you hadn't watched Rebels, you were so clueless as to why were Ezra and Thrawn on a different like in a different solar system. Why, you know, why this, why that? And like, yeah, Ezra says little bits and pieces here and there about why he and Thrawn weren't together, how he got away from Thrawn, all of that.
Yeah.
But none of it presents itself in a way that actually gives you what the hell is going on. It crumb feeds you and tells you, hey, fill in the blanks. And to a point, that's cool. But to someone who is looking for, and this goes back to an issue that like one of my best friends growing up has always said about Marvel. He's like, dude, ever since, you know, I think he said Iron Man 2. None of these films are standalone. None of these films are standalone films anymore.
Oh yeah, it's like homework.
You have to have previous knowledge of the previous films, which then sucks because unless you're a giant Marvel nerd who's watched literally every single Marvel movie minus all of the ones in the F tier at least 10 times, you can't just sit down and pull out just Iron Man 3, or well, you can actually with Iron Man 3 because it's a Christmas movie, folks.
It's true. He's right. He's absolutely right.
You can't just pull one off the shelf and say, hey, I'm going to watch Infinity War. If you haven't seen any of the other films for the last, like, for a while, like, even after a year, if you haven't seen any of the films for a year, you're pretty rusty when you pop in, like, Endgame. You can't pop in Endgame without watching Infinity War.
I think you're right, but I think a part of it, too, is, like, you can, to an extent, pick up one of these films and watch it and just understand what's happening there, but you're not getting the full picture. You're not getting the full experience, right? And I think we're so far into it. Like I saw some crazy tweet about how all the projects that you have to watch and understand and have seen in order to understand. Was it Kang Dynasty or was it Deadpool 3 or something? Like you have to get Kang Dynasty. You have to get MCU, you have to get so-and-so. Spider-Verse is now sort of loosely connected. It's like all these people are like, you have to watch, and it comes out to like 50 films.
Yeah.
And to new fans, that's intimidating. People are going to be like, hell no, that turns me off to this. I don't want to do all that homework. And now we're so far into it that I've noticed personally for me, we are getting to a point where people who have been on this train since the beginning are now starting to look for ways off of the train. I watched Quantumania and Thor: Love and Thunder back to back, and I was like, I'm going to start being more careful and picky and choosy about what I'm watching from Marvel, because this stuff sucks. This ruined Kang. This ruined Thor. They butchered Gore the God Butcher.
Yep.
I didn't like She-Hulk. I felt like I wasted my time watching that. And if
don't watch Marvels,
that's going to be a problem, because yeah, like Russ, not at all interested in Marvels. Secret Invasion.
It's coming out this week, and I saw a trailer and just realized.
Yeah, it's a problem for the franchise, because you have diehards like me and Russ who are super invested at one point. You know, post Endgame, all-time high for the MCU. And maybe this is just the fact that they keep coming out with projects and they keep trying to tailor to specific audiences. You're losing a big chunk of your audience when you do that, I think. And you know, I'm thinking of like, man, imagine if I didn't go see Quantumania, and imagine if I got this little dose of Kang in this Loki open episode. It's like, that would be so different, right? I don't know. It's a problem.
To that point, the only thing that I will say about the whole Loki part is, to that point, the Kang in Kang Dynasty is no longer the Kang that we're going to see at Kang Dynasty. Or like at the Kang that we saw in Quantumania, is no longer going to be the Kang that we see in Kang Dynasty. And so to me, the Kang that we saw in Quantumania is not the Kang that we see in Loki 2.
Right.
I think I really do think, especially with like the poor reception of Quantumania, I think we're going to get some explanation to the fact that the one above all is not the Kang the Conqueror that we saw at Quantumania. That Kang the Conqueror was a variant.
But like at the same time, they pose that Kang.
It's still
they
Kang.
Posed that Kang. Well, the Kang that was in Quantumania is the Kang that they posed as the Kang that all of the Kangs exiled. It's like, this is a bad guy, because we trapped him in this zone, right? So that just comes down to terrible writing. It's like, where are we leading them?
For sure. I definitely
agree. I think they're on the back foot trying to correct a lot of these issues, because I mean Kevin Feige and that team, they're smart. Like they have to, on some level, understand where things are going and what people are feeling towards this. Because I mean, look at the box office numbers. I think that definitely speaks. Viewership for some of these Disney Plus series, I think, speaks. They're going to listen to stuff like that. They're not going to listen to me and you being like, She-Hulk sucked. Like, that's not what they're worried about. But, you know, we're talking about the greater story here. And if people are not invested in that, you're not going to get butts and seats. And that's what draws in the money. So at the end of the day, it's business. Speaking of business, let's get to your video game rant, because I'm very interested to hear what that is.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, we're going to go a little over, folks.
That's fine. We can go.
For the one person watching.
I don't really have anything else to discuss.
I don't have anything else.
Have at it, dude. What do you got?
So this has been something that I've been seeing on Twitter for the last or X. I got to start calling it X and not just Twitter.
I don't really care, or I catch myself, but it's like, what am I doing? Anyway,
I got to figure out how to start this. Oh, okay. So we'll start this with the most with the most annoying one. I don't know if have you seen any of the character models for Spider-Man 2?
MJ is awful.
Okay, so so we're going there. Okay. So
Pepe, the meme, Pepe the Frog.
Yeah,
I saw that comparison.
I saw someone on Twitter posted the photo. It says Mary Jane in Spider-Man 2 is so beautiful. And I responded, nope.
Bad take.
Period. And it literally, like, people were pissed. Like, I had this one guy essentially call me a perv. Yes, I had this one guy call me a perv because essentially
what's so sexist. No, she's
exactly. Because I said I just want feminine. And then hilariously enough,
she's not real. Like, who cares?
Hilariously enough, he then deletes all of his tweets that he sent to me. Yeah, because he was literally going off on me. But
I'm trying to find this comparison.
It is crazy
so funny
that people are like, oh my gosh, she's so pretty. And like it's not good, folks. Just go look up the Spider-Man 2. Like, she doesn't even look human, honestly, to me.
She barely looks like she did in the last game.
Well, and that's
and
the
I haven't
thing
even
too.
played the
It
game.
was crazy because this guy was like, "Oh, you just want someone like." Essentially, he said waifu, and I was like, "Okay, no," because I don't watch anime that much. That like that's what I want a girl in a game to look like. So I literally just started pulling up, and like he deleted his tweets before I could send it.
Yeah.
But I literally took a photo of Kirsten Dunst, and I took a photo of the girl who they're character modeling Mary Jane after. And they're screwing with the character model because the girl who's the character model, like who they're modeling it after, is gorgeous.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yet they screwed with Mary Jane. Looks like a dude.
It's just very strange. There's something about like I don't know. There's something off.
And this gets to a wider thing because we can
make your character look like anything or anybody, and you choose
that. Like and actually, if you don't follow him, you should absolutely follow him. Yellow Flash on Twitter. I used to watch a lot of his
Yellow Flash. I'll follow him.
I used to watch a lot of his YouTube videos when I was in high school.
Nice.
He posted a comment with that photo, and he says, "This Mary Jane is average. This Mary Jane looks like the type of Mary Jane that Peter stoops to be with. He's the settler in this relationship. She looks like." And he was like, the point of Mary Jane, even in the comics, has always been that she is so far out of his league that, Tiger, you hit the jackpot.
Yeah.
And like, I have no problem.
Mary Jane is a smoke show, no doubt.
Yeah,
she's supposed to be.
I've always written to be. I've said this from the beginning when the first game came out. I had no problem with them changing Mary Jane's character to make her a journalist. Fine, that's fine. But like, as you see with Superman, Lois Lane also like a smoke show in her own right. She's gorgeous, and she's got the brains to do both at the same. She can do both. So you don't have to dumb down a character and make them look common manny so that they fit into a situation. So that's one thing. That's one thing that pissed me off. Second thing.
Valid. Is there another character? Hold on, real quick. Is there another character that they screwed with it?
Well, they changed
everybody just looks ugly. So it's like across the board.
Oh, I mean, Norman Osborn and Harry Osborn.
Like Harry looks weird too, I think. I don't know.
Harry looks okay. Genki looks pretty normal. He kind of looks like the realistic version of the Genki we saw in Into the Spider-Verse. Like, he looks like that Genki.
Good, kind of. Right? That's got to
be pretty accurate. It doesn't look terrible. Right. Yeah, but it's just like most of the characters look way too realistic. Like, there's no like, oh, these are pretty people. Like, it's just like, oh, this literally looks like a dude that I could meet on the side of the street in my Walmart.
They look like nobody.
Walmart. Yeah, they look like people that I could like meet at my local Walmart, which is kind of odd. Like
yeah,
this is
weird
Spider-Man.
choice.
This is Spider-Man. Like, give it some sense of gravitas is maybe the word that I'm looking for.
Probably to be fair, there's been a lot of Spider-Man projects, so maybe they're just trying to do their own thing. But I mean,
there's so many other ways to do something. They're already doing it their own way by like making Mary Jane a comic or a journalist, like not introducing Gwen Stacy. Having
Peter and Miles together at all is fantastic.
Exactly. Yeah. So like, there's already difference. It's just a weird choice that they went this route too. Second thing.
What was your other thing?
Assassin's Creed Mirage came out this last week. And this is a game that originally was going to be DLC for Assassin's Creed Valhalla. they decided that they wanted to put some more effort into it and just make it a full game. Not worth the full game price. It's still they still asked $50 for it. I think they should have probably put it at $30 or 40.
Did you pick it up?
Yes, I did. And so I've been playing a little bit of it.
Thoughts?
I like it. My only issue right now is like I've always said that like yes, I do love old school Assassin's Creed. My first Assassin's Creed was Assassin's Creed 3, which is the American Revolution one, and it's still still one of my favorites. I hate Black Flag with a burning passion.
Man, I love Black Flag.
Hate boats. I don't like sailing. Like no. That's
very interesting inclusion for an assassin game, boats. But
I love Odyssey. I love Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I hate everything that I had to do on the boats. I really hated it. That's why, my number one goal in Assassin's Creed Odyssey when I first started the game was I just started sailing around to different islands and finding the sync points so that I could get all of them done so that the whole map I could just fast travel if I absolutely needed to. Like if it was on an island, I could just fast travel there.
I mean, to be honest, when I played Black Flag, I wasn't on my pirate ship all that much. I was like, I want to kill people on the ground. Red coats, give me red coats to kill.
Exactly. So, anyways,
although the ship-to-ship combat.
One thing with Mirage is that hey, we're going back to the basics of old school Assassin's Creed. So it's going to be more focused on stealth, more focused on all of this, which it is. Parkour in this game, amazing. All great stuff.
Cool.
The problem that I have with this game is, again, a lot of in the same way that we talk about the Disney Plus, where there's everybody hates it or everybody likes it or everybody likes it. That is where we're at in this game with this game, because everyone who wants old school Assassin's Creed to come back is just blindly saying, "Oh my God, this game is amazing. This, that, and the other." And some of it's not blind. I know plenty of people who are playing it who love it. And I am enjoying this game. But then there's the other camp that's like, meh, like it needs help. It doesn't in this, that, and the other. And I'm in this middle camp where I love it. I enjoy it.
But you're critical, right?
Yeah. The problem is right now, the story is weak because it was supposed to just be a DLC.
Yeah.
The story is pretty weak. Like it's not a bad story, but it is a weak story. And I have to stop. Like I'll play like 2 hours. I'm done. Like I don't want to play anymore. Like I need to go play COD. I want to go play other games that because my attention span is not retained with this game. It is gorgeous. The fact that they're in Baghdad and like old school like pre this is like Bible time. This feels like Persia, like Persian Empire. It's really cool. But yeah, it's just a weird
thing I was confused about was like the era of the game.
Yeah, so it's before Valhalla, and it's like still 1,000 years before the first Assassin's Creed. You know the big temple? You know the big temple in the first Assassin's Creed? Alamut.
Okay.
It takes place in the building of Alamut. You visit Alamut as you're seeing it being built. Like the structures, like all the structures are being built. That's kind of cool, which is cool.
That's pretty neat.
And then they just announced that the next game, which is going to be their final, it sounds like it's going to be the final RPG version of Assassin's Creed, which is, well, not the final Assassin's Creed game, but the final in this arc that they've had with Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla. Where
I was going to say Origins was like ancient Egypt, right?
Where they're more RPG based. It's going to be also like the final of that storytelling that they're doing.
I got you.
That's going to be set in Japan. But again, I'm waiting for all of the negative comments, because now that we've had Mirage, it's like everybody's going to be like, no, I want this. I want to go back. And it's like, you can have your cake and eat it too.
I mean, the important distinction there is it criticism that comes from a place of I love this thing and I want to see it reach its fullest potential, or is it just criticism for the sake of hating and bagging on a product?
Sadly,
it is.
A lot of
Star Wars fans are that way now.
Yeah, and that is fandom in general. No matter if you're
Hating
an
it because
Xbox,
it's popular to hate on it. It's
if
like
you're an Xbox fan or a PlayStation fan, you're gonna hate the PlayStation fans are gonna hate on something that's Xbox exclusive. If you don't like a certain
well, then
way,
you got the gamer feud and the
yeah,
gamer war and the console
it's
wars, and
just
that's all part of it. But
it's just sad. Like the way we are just destroying fandoms is sad because
it's true. That's a
the
big problem.
the problem
People
right
have no
now
middle ground.
the problem right now especially is that what we're doing is we are gatekeeping any new fans from joining the fandom because they don't want to get caught in the middle of this negative bubble that we have created on both sides.
It also sucks to be around.
And exactly, and it's not
You got
fun.
conversations on Twitter that are war zones, and it's like
it's not
new
fun.
people don't want any
It is
part of
fun.
that.
It is fun watching people just get crazy on Twitter when you say just ask a simple question and they instantly go to an ad hominem about like how you as a person are horrible and everything. But it is what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap up today's show. Thank you for joining us. Oh, Tristan, what are you guys talking about? Oh, yeah, my brother's here. We're talking about
Now it sounds like we're gonna wrap up, but
trashiness of fandom.
I actually enjoy that conversation because like the current state of fandom is kind of a mess. Not kind of, it is a mess. It's very toxic. That has a lot to do with just the current state of the world and politics and just how nobody can see middle ground, and that all kind of bleeds into fandoms over your fictional characters and your fictional worlds that for the most part should be like a form of escapism. I think it's important to talk about real world issues in some of the projects as well, but like that, it's just tricky, right? And I think a lot of that has begun to overlap, and that's where you just get people who are just angry for the sake of being angry. You have people that just need to be right, and they can't see any other side but their own. It's like, what happened to the love? What happened to the mutual respect for each other? And we share a love for this thing. It's like, why can't we just get along? You know, we'll bag on She-Hulk all day, but like if somebody were to approach me and be like, man, I actually kind of like She-Hulk, I'll be like, oh, cool. I mean, I liked parts of it. What did you like? Here's what I didn't like. Here's why I didn't like it. But like, I'm not gonna.
We're losing.
That's not
we're losing the ability to have a conversation, and this is not just and have discussion and have debate.
True, so true, man.
We've completely just said, nah, that's not what we want to do. And it's my way or the highway, and it's honestly it's just sad.
My way or the highway.
Because it's more fun to have debate about these characters and about these storylines and about these different
the debate is part of the fun, but when you start getting nasty,
exactly.
Ain't
It's So you know what, folks? Words of wisdom.
I do like Iron Man 2, though.
I mean, I didn't say I didn't like it. I just said it's a guilty pleasure for me, honestly. Be nice to each other.
I will also defend that like movies like Batman Returns and Iron Man 3 Christmas films, dude. I'll defend that. You're wrong. People who say they aren't wrong. We just got done talking about, but you're wrong. You're wrong about that.
Hawkeye is a Christmas film or show.
Hawkeye is indisputably Christmas. But
yeah. Tristan, yes. If you're here on a Monday, you can come over and hang out with us when we do the podcast.
Yeah, Tristan.
That's my brother, folks. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a great episode of Comics All Mode. Find us on X at Russ Spacey, at Lando Hills, and at Comics All Mode. Come hang out. Come talk to us.
Join the debate. Join the fun.
Join the debate. We like debating. We're two nerds that enjoy being like, no, you're wrong, and here's why. And you know what? Maybe there's a slim chance you might be able to change my mind. Very slim, but hey, it might happen. So with
talk to me about Ahsoka.
Yeah. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, peace. And now I'm
Thanks for joining us.
and we're gonna just.
Yeah. I'm actually super. I almost forgot to mention it, but like I really am super disappointed about Shin and Balin kind of just being swept. That really bothers me, actually.